think the honorable thing for our species to do is deny our programming. Stop reproducing. Walk hand in hand into extinction. One last midnight, brothers and sisters opting out of a raw deal.
Do not trust any friends or family members. I repeat, do not trust friends.
Hear about Twisted Metal being popular, man. I don't want to hear the reasons for it. I don't want to hear any of this.
Yeah, you'd rather hear about mangled monkeys.
Oh my goodness, Dex, I don't even really want to hear about that too. Fucking, okay, so it describes like three or four of the monkeys? Like there was probably a whole bunch of them. Still though,
numbers was number 20 was the first.
Yeah,
one
that's
described.
Yeah. So that gives you a sense. There was at least 20 of them. Those implant things. What was the claim? Were they telepathic monkeys as a consequence of all of this horrific butchery?
No, they're like quadriplegic and died of bacterial and fungal infections from like crude fucking neuropathic implants that broke off in their heads and were horrifyingly installed into their brains by Elon.
Yeah, but what did it?
The claim was that you'd be able to interact with AI and then potentially other human beings by installing, it's that old cyberpunk bionic dream of
the old bionic dream.
That was a weird way to say it, but
that old thing.
I know what you're talking about when you talk about that though. Yeah, the old Bion dream. Yeah,
the lawnmower man's back.
Yeah,
that's right.
Fucking RoboCop 2 is my favorite.
Yeah,
definitely.
Well, that's a good transition over to moving from RoboCop over to Total Recall. We can work with that.
Yeah.
Hey everybody. Extinction Agenda with James,
and Chris.
There we go. And today we're talking about 1990s Paul Verhoeven's fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger's Total Recall. It's about time. We need a break. We've been dealing with some heavy shit. We need to just have some comfort food, and there's nothing more comfortable than Arnold Schwarzenegger.
You're damn right.
Yeah. Chris, this is one of your favorite movies, if I recall, from your list. We made like a random list.
Absolutely. In fact, as I was watching that, I had to admit to myself that this has to be my favorite science fiction movie. Like, there are definitely classier movies, but I could watch this one over and over again. Like, if you just sat me down, like Total Recall style, and were just to create a little fantasy for me, I'd be Arnold saying like, I wanted a little bit sleazy too. So there you go.
Yeah.
Sleazy.
Yes. Oh man, it was so great. There were so many like, I haven't watched this in a long time, and obviously we had a funny conversation where I don't own it, because I'm usually like, if there's something like gruesome and trashy out there, it's probably in my stupidly large collection of movies. But this one wasn't for some reason, so it caught me off guard. But that also meant that I hadn't seen it in a long time. So there's a lot of little things I want to touch on that I noticed differently this time.
Yeah, me too. And some of them are like kind of, I feel like I'm late to the party.
One big one. I don't know how I didn't really pick this up before, but Quaid's an idiot. He's insane. Arnold's purposefully playing him dumb, and Hauser's like quite a lot more clever. And there's a subtlety to how Arnold's like giving you those two characters. It's like there's actually some acting prowess involved here.
It's true.
Yeah, he attributes that to Verhoeven because they worked apparently very closely together. The only reason the dude was on this movie is because Arnold bought the rights for this book. We can get into the history or whatever, but this thing had a long production history, and Arnold bought the rights after Dino De Laurentiis's company went bankrupt, and he watched RoboCop and he was like, "That's the guy I want, and I want it for this movie, and it's going to star me." And this is he's very much in charge of this movie, even though, but he's also like the accounts are that he was very humble on set, and he took direction very easily, like that's one of Arnold's abilities, is to be like Arnold yet still pliable for directors.
That's
And
cool.
yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
everybody was like, "This is like your best movie ever," and he was like, "Yeah, or like up till then, and maybe
But
ever."
it may very well still be.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
I think so too.
And yeah, that he just got it. He got it because the director was yelling at him all the time. You're too stiff. You're too stiff.
Yeah.
Anyway,
No, sorry. Go on.
I was just gonna say I hadn't seen this movie in a long time either. Like I saw it so often. Like this is one of those rated R movies that they gave to children. This came out when we were 10, and I watched it at the age of 10 far more than I ought to.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that too, because I talked to my brother on my way home today, and he described he basically has a catalog in his mind of all the like post-traumatic stress moments from it.
Yeah.
So he said, well, that's the movie where the eyeballs popped out of the heads. The fans turned off the air and everybody suffocated. The Kawato and the guy's arms got ripped off in the elevator.
Yes.
Yeah, you've got it pretty much from A to B there.
Burns into your brain.
Yeah, those are some real burn-in moments. Benny,
and they're not
Benny?
the only burn-in moments either. They're just it just happened to be like some of the highlights, but
Benny,
everything
the
about this
underrated heel. Oh,
my
goodness. Yeah, that's
his
other one.
Just whatever pops. Anyway, like moment to moment, this is fucking incredible. Anyway, hadn't seen it in a while, and I appreciated it this time in a way that I never did. And like I obviously some of the parts were stupid, but I tried to look at it in a new way. Mostly like anytime Arnie's doing anything, it's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. Did you guys see the writers on this?
Oh yeah, O'Bannon and what's his nose? The guy from
O'Bannon, back to the party.
Yeah, Ron Shusett. So like podcast royalty all over. But like O'Bannon and Shusett write the Alien screenplay, and I guess like they have credit on every other one, so I'm not sure what like if they've written or they just have like the right to that. But also O'Bannon, I looked him up. He did a segment for Heavy Metal, which is Return of the Living Dead. I think it was a zombie, like the sort of like when the plane crashed. And then Shusett did a little important film for Steven Seagal called Above the Law.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah, there's 5 degrees of separation all over the place. Yeah.
It all leads to this.
Finally, we can remember it. I didn't end up reading the short story.
I did.
Okay, good. So maybe you can give us a little something as we
I'll
go
give you a
along.
quick little summary. Yeah. Do you want to do it now or just like sort of?
Yeah, Dan O'Bannon was on Dune as well way back.
Yeah, Dan's had a serious career, but I don't know, Chris. Do you think it would be helpful to like give us like a sense of what the original story was? Or...
I think helpful in the sense that like I had so much like even more respect for this movie after reading the short story. Like it's not bad or anything like that, but it's very different. It doesn't go into touching on Mars at all. Like it's sort of like it stays at the level of Earth, and he awakens and he's like sort of a super assassin. So like, people come after him, he's killing them, but then like he's just like, please put me back to sleep. I don't want to have to kill you all. I don't want to die. So they kind of work out this deal where they put him back under. But there's this weird ending where he has this fantasy. They have to replace it with something equally compelling. So when he's a child, he had this fantasy that little furry aliens came to Earth. And they were gonna invade and take over, but by showing them empathy, like they changed their minds about humans. So they made a deal with him that they will not invade as long as he's alive. So he's the most important person on the world. And so they're like, okay, we'll work with that. We'll install this new like sort of backstory to you. But then it turns out the twist is that it seems like they're like, oh, we have another situation. Like this actually happened to him as well. And that's basically where it ends. Really weird. Yeah, really strange.
Yeah.
And but you couldn't make a movie out of that. But
yeah. But that's that fake thing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's also
one thing that really comes through is that like it's really like a shitty ex-wife story. Like I think Philip K. Dick had been divorced by this point, and like it's like his wife sucks, and like she's just telling him that he's a dreamer all the time. He's like, good, I want to be a dreamer. Like this is better than reality. So it's very much about escapism.
They kept that.
They
really did. Yeah. So maybe this is helpful because they, Ronald Suchet and Dan O'Bannon, like they bought that story for like $1,000 apparently. And this was, I think Dick was still alive because it was in the 70s, and they started working on it then. But they quickly realized that, that's 40 pages of movie of script or whatever. So they're like, we got to come up with a second and third act. And it took like, there was 44 versions of this script. Like they just everybody and their dog has touched this script. Like David Cronenberg was going to do this movie for a while. Some other fucking hack directors from all over the place were going to do this movie for a while. And when Verhoeven got the job, he was like, yeah, send me the script. And they sent him like it was a van, and they released it was 5,000 pages of various scripts.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And that's what they say anyway. And so him and I think he was still working with Ronald and Dan O'Bannon at this point. I think they all came together and just figured out how they were gonna, they could never get the third act correctly. Like it was every script apparently is what I'm told from the book is that and I guess the internet too is that no one could land the third act, and for whatever reason they were able to. In this instance,
they nailed it now.
Yeah. Well, they kind of, the trick was, and maybe this will help us get in deeper, is like at a certain point, apparently the screenwriters were like, we have to make it more ambiguous. We have to, like, even though it's an action movie, we have to make it so like it could be real and it could be a dream.
You know what? Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that really ever left on the table for your imagination?
That it's what, the real or the dream part?
Yeah,
where do you land on this?
That it's real.
I think it's real too.
I am tempted to see how it could be a dream. Like the pieces are there, but I think the way the story is told, because we leave Quaid so often, and we see what Cohagen is up to and Michael Ironside and stuff like that, because we see those, I think that militates against that interpretation. But if you just if you're very charitable to the movie and you just say, oh, that's part of the dream too, then the way that it ends,
the end is a bit dream sequency. Like you could just wake up from that and be like, I'm back from my vacation.
Think about when he pulls that thing out of his nose. What's real about that?
Yeah. There's a lot of grotesquerie, like sort of almost like comic exaggeration sort of stuff.
Yeah, there's no way that and then like the 2 weeks girl, like when that like fucking comes up, like when he takes the mask off and that giant metal sheath comes out and you're like, whoa, like how is that, doesn't fit inside the human head. Like what the fuck? And he takes off the mask and like it's very Cronenbergian dream-esque in many ways that I did not appreciate earlier.
A few things too that I kind of like made me think along those lines is just how when he rejects, when he shoots the guy who says he comes in with the red pill, like just instantly like all these soldiers like bust out of the walls and like his wife is there or something. You're like that's unlikely. And then like just how quickly they find him every time in the catacombs, like it takes a lot. You have to suspend a bit of disbelief to believe that that's real. But I think one thing that points in my mind to it being actual reality is when in the Total Recall setting, like when they're giving him the rundown, like this sort of like used car pitch. He specifically says like things like like real vacations have like crooked cabbies and like like horrible environments and all this stuff, and you'll be getting the good stuff. That's not his experience on Mars.
Well, that's maybe that's where the ambiguity, like that's the nexus right there, like that interaction with the recall guy. So anyone listening to this who doesn't know the movie, fine. He's
Go
trying to
watch
buy yeah, watch it right now. Shut your mouth. Get out of here. The but the guy's selling him memories, right? Like a vacation memory package. And yeah, you're right. But like that's exactly where, if this is a dream, that's where it exists, right? In that sales pitch. And I think like it's so telling of this movie is that the source of the ambiguity in this is a sales pitch, right? Like it like everything about this movie is so I'm not, well, I'll say critical because like or satirical or like filtered through some sort of like the major bad guy is an oil baron guy. There's propaganda everywhere. There's like, this is all about oxygen on Mars. Like this is they're selling things. There's anyway, I'm just repeating myself. There's advertisements everywhere. And so like is it a dream or is it a reality exists within like some sort of consumerist imagination, which is fucking perfect. And this movie like is very coherent, even if it's stupid. Like it's bragged around the edges because it's an action movie, but it's got the Verhoeven stamp.
Yeah, there are some other things too, like the like you guys described how ridiculous Arnold is, but his like the cartoon super spy-ness of his like superpowers, basically. There's just
just all of a sudden
backwards one-shotting guys with like back fists, you're done. Like it's like very like a comic book. Even the fight sequences, the choreographed fight sequences are so grimy too.
Mm-hmm.
Like some stuntmen get mangled, and the girls fighting, like Sharon Stone's kung fu fights, are so dope. But even those, they're comic booky, they're unrealistic, so there's another argument point there, and then plus the girlfriend, how he picks
Melina
her out,
or whatever.
Yeah, Melina's picked out at the beginning in the recall office.
Yeah, no, and there's the pictures of the reactors. They're like the picture of the reactor is included in that slideshow. He's like, oh, we do alien. Haven't you heard alien artifacts? They on Mars, and like one of them is that reactor.
I think it's called the blue sky scenario too. So like that's
right. And and I'm not going to be a dick here because it's a movie, but like there's nothing realistic about a reactor going off and suddenly like a completely terraformed within seconds, like to save everybody's life. There's nothing real about that. That's absurd.
It's ancient alien technology though.
Oh, that's right, man. They're like, I don't know why they didn't even turn it on. Like what kind of scenario involves like they build all of it and they just don't. Yeah, like they don't turn it on. Like what happened?
That's a good question, actually.
Yeah,
I didn't think that through, but yeah.
Well, that's the thing about this movie. Like I do think that because everything is so earthy with and gray and like everything feels very heavy. And so it feels real, but even though, so the dreaminess gets lost. Like it's like Lynch and Cronenberg, they always want to make it a little fanciful, but Verhoeven can't, and he definitely can't with Arnold around.
It's true. What about the arguing point that maybe he is actually having a schizoid embolism?
Well, that's the same
and
event,
that people are actually trying to. Well, I think it's like almost like an alternate one where he's not Hauser. He's still himself, but he's not even having the dream vacation. He's actually like dying in the chair.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, well, that's entirely possible too. And then like I think what I missed about this movie, and I know this is stupid and again late to the party, is that I've never taken these thoughts seriously ever. Like this never occurred to me when I was watching it. I never thought like, oh, maybe it's a dream. Like I always thought it was like a little mind fucky, but I didn't give it this quality because my memory of it from a kid was like I don't know. It just didn't. I didn't bat an eyelash. I was like, okay, well, fucking weird movie, whatever.
You know what's really interesting about that too, though, is that like I'm kind of thinking of it as like it's just having that ambiguity kind of slurs, like just kind of blurs the I can see how that can make the movie work, like because all the parts that don't add up, you can suddenly just say, oh, like maybe it's a dream, and like you don't have to think too hard about how to resolve these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a little smoke screen, It's like I like that.
It's perfect. No, it is perfect, and it makes that is the spice that allows science fiction to age. Like, because otherwise it just becomes like Herbie the Robot, right?
Yeah. Well, you know
And
what?
so
Just one thing I love about Philip K. Dick is that he was so prescient about how he was never fooled by utopianism when it comes to technology. He doesn't fetishize it. It's like, no, like we'll get there, but it's going to be modified by capitalism, and it's going to be grimy, and it's going to be shitty, and like, what are you going to do about it? But like, it's just kind of like everything's going to be compromised, and just the problems will be different. Will just be shaped differently by technology.
Yeah.
And I think that really allows it to age well too.
Yeah, but at the same time, like this is a very, I'm not going to say understandable story, but like this doesn't require the future. This could just be like, let's pretend Mars was India or whatever. Like let's bring civilization to India, like and I'll go to the weird bars with the mutants in the foreign land, like there's something that science fiction like brings a cool sheen to it, but it's not essential. Like there's no obviously the memory alteration technology is the science bit that this fiction surrounds, but I don't know, you could just as easily, like, that could be a magic wand,
and another way to say it is that it's a story about colonialism. It's a story about exploitation.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And in a major blockbuster, like, this is so, again, what I lament about movies nowadays, movies nowadays, is like this subversiveness. It's gone. It is not present. It is always in favor of the existing power structures, etc. And I'm not going to say that this is like some sort of socialist revolution, but there's Verhoeven had consistently throughout his career, and has consistently throughout his career, had like this vicious eye on American society and North American society and European society, and is very uncompromising, and still manages to entertain. Like, it doesn't really get in the way.
Yeah, and this, I think, like, speaking to that, like, this is a story about ultimately coming into like some sort of group consciousness. So, like, he starts off as just like this guy who, what's his job? He's a construction worker. He has like this sort of shitty wife, like, and he's there to be fucked into oblivion, basically. That's her assignment.
Yeah.
and like, and as long as he's like sort of like productive to society, and like this sort of like, I don't know, just like there to advance to build things, to be part of the system. It's like that's his sleeper state. But then throughout, he's kind of growing into an awareness of like, oh, okay, there's this shit going on Mars, and like it's not good. And we could do so much better. We could actually have resources that are there for everybody instead of it being under private corporatization. And it's great.
I fucking love when they're having breakfast in the morning. I have so much to say about all that, but my first thought is that, like, I love when they're having breakfast in the morning and they're watching the news, and like the soldiers are literally fucking killing people. Like, get that fucking camera out of here. And then the news report is just like the Mars military put down the resistance with minimal effort. And like as those words are saying, someone's being fucking summarily executed on the ground. And I love the passivity of that. It's just like, and they're just eating, and he's like, let's move to Mars, and even the main character, he's like participating in Cohagen's propaganda, because like Sharon Stone's like, they could have a revolution every day, and he's like, Cohagen says it's fine, and like, but he still wants to fucking go to Mars, like, and
Yeah, that's part of the like whole like absurdness of Douglas Quaid at the beginning too, where he's like,
Yeah.
he's like almost defective. He's just like, he's slow on the draw. He's like kind of dumb to speak. Even the guy's like, oh, he tells the story of the guy that got fucking turned into a vegetable, or
Right.
you know, from going to recall, and he's jackhammering, and he's like, huh, I guess so. Like he's
Yeah.
just so fucking passive. He's there's just so there's a lot there to say that's part of the argument against this being like a dream sequence. Also, is that there's so much there in the idioticness of Doug Quaid that shows that his mind has been tampered with, like prior to going to recall.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I like that. Okay, yeah, because especially when so you know, like he goes to recall, and they're like, we haven't even implanted it yet. You know, like there's this idea that they uncover the fact that he's an undercover agent, and then his construction worker buddies fucking attack him, and then he like, so he goes up into the room, and fucking those executions are beauty. Like that whole action scene, like you were saying earlier, James.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's so good. Breaking necks all over the place. Fucking right. But then he goes to Sharon Stone, and he's like, is this a delusion? You know, and he's got his hands covered in blood. But before he explains that, he's like a baby, or like a 5-year-old. Like Matthew could have said these sentences, like, but he was the boss and I killed him first.
Yeah, he is. He's like diminished at the beginning, and he doesn't, even throughout, he doesn't quite find himself, like really, like he's not quite, and Hauser's so sharp, like
he's not Hauser.
See him, whenever you see him on camera or whatever, and Sharon Stone's like, she's inhibiting him from watching the news before he even goes to recall. She like you guys said, she was trying to fuck him to death or whatever. You know, he didn't have it that bad. I don't know.
No, he didn't. Well, this is I guess
his personality was like forcing. Like you made that joke that he won't be red pilled. Like he just,
yes, exactly.
He's not. He just doesn't have it in him. Like he doesn't really care about her or anything. He's got to get beyond what's happened to his mind.
Yeah, just Mars.
Yeah. But of the red pill thing, it's kind of like about this, like this movie is like, whereas in the Matrix, the red pill is, what is the red pill, to wake up to the Matrix, or is that the blue pill? Which one's
the red pill wakes you up, so that you're outside of the Matrix.
Okay, all right. So I don't know, and this is just a coincidence, but this movie, it's the opposite of that. It's like, don't take the red pill. And like, and it's actually more true to contemporary, like, all those motherfuckers who call themselves red pilled, they are in fact red pilled as in terms of this movie.
Exactly. I think of that.
Because they're just like, they'll just buy into Cohagen's fucking bullshit. I'll just take my shitty job. I'll be upset about Martians, like the shitty outsider. You know, like it. This is the movie everybody, like, anytime, like, I hate. It must be. This is off topic, but like for the Wachowski sisters, for them to have to stomach like the Matrix being used against them like that, it just must be like up and down, day and night, infuriating. Anyway, very frustrating.
Do you think they stole from this movie though? Because I kind of am thinking that they did.
Well, maybe. Well, oh my goodness. Yeah, you think? Well, why not? You're right. Yeah, because it's a very important popular cultural antecedent, right?
And
wow,
the themes are very similar.
Mind. You just
read. The themes are very similar.
Oh boy.
That waking up to reality, or like trying to figure out what's real. Like, it's just fertile ground for, I can see this. This would be it's an inspirational movie in terms of like, science fiction.
Yeah, why not? Like this is what put Philip K. Dick on the map as far as like a Hollywood property. Well, no,
Blade
wait, sorry.
Runner.
Blade Runner. I'm sorry. But my understanding, for whatever it's worth, is that after this movie, suddenly Philip K. Dick became something that you paid a lot of money for.
That makes sense. Things like Minority Report and
Yeah, because I would imagine that Blade Runner was purchased like this movie, like they bought it in the 70s before anybody. Maybe it would have cost more to buy a Philip K. Dick book had this not been. Sorry, they bought the rights in the 70s, right? For this movie. Had they tried to purchase them after Blade Runner, maybe it would have been more expensive. I don't know. Anyway, neither here nor there.
yeah. I wonder what would have happened with the red pill if you either it's like is it gonna no wouldn't have killed him. Yeah, I think you're right. It would have returned him to the state of ignorance of going back to sleep because that's what Cohagen wanted.
Yeah, well, he wants Hauser back.
yeah, his best friend. I love that. I love that when they have the conversation, like you'll be Hauser again. And he's like, Hauser's a fucking asshole. And then he's like, no, he's got a nice house. He drives a Mercedes.
Yeah.
And it's that like total like he's like Hauser's the cynical guy who like bought it. He sees above it, but he bought in, and like compared to like Quaid. I love what you're saying about the like it's so appropriate for him to be basically a shell of a person without any history or experience, really, just sort of some implanted memories. Yeah, like you'd be really like at a disadvantage in your daily life until he starts like following that impulse to ask questions about the world.
Yeah, and it's perfect for Arnie to play that character because he sucks. Like as an actor, it's the best possible role for him. To just be like almost human. That's why he works with the Terminator.
It's true. It's also to be like sort of like he's been lobotomized a bit, right?
Yeah.
So he's just it's just such a good fit for him to sort of walk around stunned a lot for most of the movie. I'm just like a sort of.
I have it in the background as I'm watching it, and as we're talking, like my perspective of this movie like fucking shifts, and he just looks especially stupid. Just watching his face from moment to moment. Yeah.
And I feel like Verhoeven and him are both like sort of like they're amplifying it, especially at the beginning, and then what's trying to be accomplished is as he finds himself, he becomes more elaborate, more dynamic, like more self-aware, more of his personality comes forward, and then he kind of like develops the end of his own story, which then that goes back to like dreaming again. But yeah, there's a whole Sharon Stone fetish thing, eh?
No.
Oh, what do you mean?
Just mean like like there was like people who were into like cosplaying as this, and the whole bondage thing at the beginning.
Right. Well, so this was her first, not her first movie, but this was her close to breakout. She only got paid $50,000 to make this movie, because she was nothing.
It's a lot of stunt work too for 50 G's.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, she was very game for this movie. But that's fine. She'll make it Basic Instinct. So Verhoeven gets her back, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. Her role, her performance in that made Verhoeven cast her for Basic Instinct.
Yeah.
Actually, first choice for that chippy bad guy for Ironside's role was Kurtwood Smith. But I
don't know who that is.
So much sense.
He felt like it was too close to the RoboCop role, so he didn't want to do it.
It is the RoboCop villain, James.
Yeah.
Oh, that's his. Okay, I'm sorry. Just say his real name. Thanks.
Sorry. Red Foreman.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, really? That would have sucked. Michael Ironside was perfect for this.
No, it would have been good. It would have been just as well.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I don't know,
but it is very similar.
I believe that Michael Ironside sleeps with what's her nose? Sharon Stone. I do not believe that Red Foreman sleeps with Sharon Stone. I don't
He
want to see
does.
them kissing.
Bitches leave.
Yeah, I bet. No, he doesn't fuck women in that movie, right? He just he is absolutely
He could,
dismissive
though.
of women. He could, he would, but it would be rape, right? Like, let's be clear.
That's right.
And that's a different
that's more of an RoboCop vibe.
Yeah. Whereas Michael Ironside, that voice, like there's, I don't know, I guess like something about him, like
Michael Ironside also has like a physicality that's believable. Like I believe Michael Ironside would have been
a security officer.
Would be a grimy fight for Arnold on an elevator.
Yeah.
I don't believe Kurtwood Smith would have had that same feeling.
Oh yeah, embarrassing. It would
have been like smashing a baby against a metal wall. Sorry, Kurtwood Smith.
Yeah, we love you, but
you can't fight Arnie.
Even Michael Ironside is like this guy has no chance. I love how grimy the deaths are. Like in so like when he
God.
Yeah.
So many practical effects too.
Yeah. And when he busts out of his like the restraints and like then uses that like jagged metal thing to like ram through that guy's skull, it's like every end is a bad end in this movie.
Oh, there's so many bad deaths, yeah, especially at that end piece.
Apparently there was so I in the book that I keep referencing, it's Rob Van Sheer's Paul Verhoeven. It's just a book devoted to like all the films up until Showgirls. So it's early. And the debate around this movie, not the debate, but like the headlines and stuff, was that like it was super violent. Like, right, it was RoboCop violence brought to the like boom, big time, like big movie. And there's like 130 people slain in this movie. And Arnold kills 40 of them or something like that. Yeah, it's wild.
And what are the other ones? Are just killed by like friendly or just random, just firing on crowds and shit.
I think so.
Right?
Yeah.
This
just some pregnant woman getting.
Yeah, the cops are just like
blood packs. Yeah,
indiscriminate.
Yeah. No, and like there's something very responsible about that. And I've always loved that. That's one of the things I love. I know it's stupid to say that this movie has any responsibility, like sense of responsibility at all. But this guy, like he grew up he's Dutch, and he Black Book is more of like about his sort of experience with the Nazis. But like he's like kind of a kid, like he kind of experienced life under fascism, and not kinda, he did. And so like that idea that's why that stuff's always prevalent in this. Like think of Starship Troopers, think of this movie, think of RoboCop. His fiction, like what his ultimate villain and the worst thing that society can do, and with the greatest tension, is to just like create like a fascist state, and then but the way. So there's that, so that's criticism number one. And then he's at the same time, like he always wants to ground violence, like not make it real, but just like make it violent, like fucking out of control, and gross, and in the way that violence is. And
it so is, yeah.
Yeah, I always think of RoboCop where the reporter just gets shelled in the middle of the. Just I think she takes like a bunch of bullets in the knees, and it's like grotesque and sort of just like shocking, but he always does that. He levels it out that way. Like you're always seeing that kind of like you're almost like numb to it. There's so many people that get shelled in his movies. Well,
in terms of cataloging horrors too, one that's always stuck with me is that elevator scene when he just like grabs that guy and uses him as a meat shield and then like spins
on the escalator.
Yeah. And, like throws the body into them like bowling style. Amazing. But like it's such a just like gunshots in this, like there's like there's meat involved, like when somebody gets shot, like there's like chunks popping out of them. It is really gross and like really impactful and very grounded, as you said.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing that also, getting back to the debate, is it real, is it dream? Like when I talk about the earthiness of this movie, like that's what I mean, like the fleshiness. Like it's very Cronenberg, and Cronenberg fucks around with like, is it a dream, is it a reality too? But like I don't think he's ever very successful with it because he's so yuck. In this movie, this is like Arnold Schwarzenegger's last yucky movie. After this, it's Kindergarten Cop. It's children's movies after this, and I know we're or teenager movies after this.
Last Action Hero.
Well, Kindergarten Cop is immediately after this. Terminator 2. That's a
True Lies, probably.
Yep. Last Action Hero, True Lies, Junior.
Yeah.
And then we get Eraser, but then Jingle All the Way, and I think he kind of loses his way going down the children's route. And then he tries to become adult again, and he never gets the opportunity to, because it's weird to think that the governor of California ruined his career, like biggest guy ever. But like, I don't know what trajectory he was on. It wasn't a good one. Oh, obviously that changed, but his movie thing wasn't. He was always going to be a star, but not like in these days when like Schwarzenegger used to have balls, man.
Yeah, this is
true. He used to take a stand on executing your ex-wife as a divorce.
Right.
It's a Republican stance.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I'm not.
I like the human touch.
I'm not going to continue on this road, but there is definitely there's a fantasy appeal for certain types out there.
Yeah, no, that's fair. It's I don't know. It's so like, on the one hand you want to talk about it like it's smart, and it is. And you want to talk about it like it's stupid, and it is. You want to talk about it being juvenile, it's that too. And like it's the perfect heady stew for a I don't know, drive-in theater experience, like a big spectacle, like a big weird adventure.
It's super rated R adventure.
Yeah.
and the mutants, the fact that this capitalist monster is just like created his own like sort of slave underbelly of people, and it's almost backfired because they've got like superpowers that are annoying to him.
Yeah, the psychic abilities.
It's almost X-Men,
it's like Morlocks. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's exactly like that.
It is Morlocks. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Were you about to talk about Kuato?
Yeah.
Fucking right.
Now we're talking.
Well, that's okay. Well, the best thing about the mutants is, because I guess we can talk about all these things, and then also it's grounded in the practical effects, which are so good. Like Kuato is really fucking creepy, and I like looking at it now as an adult, like looking at the puppetry of it, like you're like, wow, the design's perfect, the slippery fetus like quality of it, it's just like
the way the eyes are kind of like milky and like underdeveloped. The pupils aren't quite developed. It's almost like he could be blind. Like it's just like fucking awful. And then I can't imagine what I went through at whatever age, like you say, we were when we watched this. Probably our dads lackadaisically behind a few beers let us watch it at 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
And like I can't imagine the first feeling I would have had in my heart being exposed to Kuato. I wish I could replicate it.
Yeah, you can't put words to it. You know what bothered me the most? But the thing that stuck to me, Kuato weirds me out as an older person thinking about younger self. But the only thing that really I remember is Benny when he releases his arm. It's full on horror show mutant. Like one thing about the mutants in this, there seems to be various grades. Like there's the mutants that are being turned into vagina faces. or otherwise have like, you know, multiple boobs or something. And then there's, you know, and then there's Quatu, who is grotesque, you know, like properly grotesque and like inhuman, or like, well, Cronenbergian, like he's like a Siamese twin in someone's stomach. And then I guess that's it. You know, like, is there another class in there?
There's Spectre. No, I think that's, yeah. Like, you're marked by it. There's nobody who isn't like, who's passing if they're a mutant. Yeah. And it's just that idea of like, like Cohagen built these cheap domes, so it's letting in all this radiation. And then when they talk about it, like, the workers worked themselves to death, but Cohagen got all the money, built cheap domes, and watched the kids turn into freaks. And if you want to breathe, you got to buy his air.
Yeah, and I see, and that's I love a plot laid out like that. Like, you know, like I'm doing a chase film. You've got a sci-fi film. You've got all the elements. You've got the violence. It's a pure action film. I don't need fucking exposition for days. You know, give it to me like that.
Absolutely.
Give it to me in a few sentences. You know what I mean? Like build your fucking thriller story around that. But like, don't fucking. I feel like that's a big mistake. Like I don't know that you see more often in today's shows.
Yeah, no, and it's there. It's there all the time. Like, it's there in the shitty, like, you know, the slumness of Mars, and it's just sort of like how it's all metal and just like run down. Like, you get that story just by looking around.
Yeah, and that short 3-sentence sort of like expose to be like, this is what happened. That's when shit went to shit, you know, and like, good enough.
That's the Star Wars move. You know, like when we did that movie, we were talking about how, like, you know, it was ultimately about Nixon and Vietnam or whatever, and like the threat of fascism, and it was like 2 sentences, you know, just like said in an office meeting, and that's it. That's all you need to know. Like, where did the stormtroopers come from? I just need a sentence. Stormtroopers come from bad. And then you're like, okay, great, we're good to go.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what's amazing is that all of this shit is not like it's the screenplay, like the 3-breasted aliens, like Quato, like somebody who's like, yeah, you know what this movie needs? Bunch of mutants. Let's do it.
Yeah, like I think it ties back to the because this is it's Philip K. Dick, and I don't know whether or not I don't know if any elements of the mutants exist in that story. They probably don't.
None, but I was thinking that in Dr. Blood Money, which I'd read recently, there is this like sort of malevolent like Siamese twin that's like buried and psychic inside this girl's body.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, like, there are elements probably, if you had read widely into Philip K. Dick, you could probably pull some of this stuff together, but not in any direct form.
Even if you didn't, though, there was like within 50s and 60s, and I haven't read any of that shit, but what I gather is that there was a point when people thought that the future meant telepathy, and something about futurism and science was going to like produce human telepathy, like back to Elon.
Yeah, maybe it
and
will.
his fucking monkeys. Yeah,
probably not, though, based on what happened to the monkeys.
Yeah. And so I feel it's that stuff, you know, like, so that, like, you're going to get hit with cosmic rays, you're going to get superpowers, you're going to be like, you're going to be a freak, but you'll be evolved. You'll be like sort of X-Men-esque.
You know, we're talking about radiation in general too, kind of.
Are you talking about the shameless use of a little person as a
right?
Oh my goodness, yeah. I forgot about that. Let me know if you need help with that one. Oh boy.
Yeah. Fuck.
You know what?
Yeah,
she's awesome though. When she just like runs after the guy and like stabs him in the dick.
The machine gun. See when she does the machine gun from
the machine gun,
bar. Yeah. Absolutely fucking legendary.
Yeah. Also, that's upsetting. That is so upsetting.
Those Mars guys have the worst flak jackets in the history of fucking mankind.
Oh, the stormtroopers? Yeah,
they're bulletproof vests.
Down.
They just get mowed down. Like, I mean, I guess we're just gonna go off armor piercing on that, but I mean, they really need to regulate the weapons on Mars too. How are these terrorists
where are all these guns coming from, right? Yeah, because it's not like there's open borders. You're on fucking Mars, you know. Like, there's It's a zero-sum game.
And not to mention too, like at various points, like if they shoot, then it's gonna destroy the domes and then like cause explosive decompressions. But then like I guess they're within a building, so like they can freely open fire in those cases. But
Yeah, but they really open fire.
Yeah.
How are you going to have a fucking resistance network when all of the infrastructure, like literally, including the air, is controlled by the opposition? Like I'm in Quado's office right now. I'm looking at the video, and he's got like a desk and like a special little place. Like, what's that computer connected to, bro? You know, like what's that doing? You're not connecting to anything. You'd be found immediately.
You have to hold his hands to know.
It should take my hands, Quaid. And what exactly does Quado? So he reads open your mind, Quaid, and then he like sees the reactor. He's like, yeah, turn on the reactor, Quaid. What the fuck? Like, what is it about Quaid's memory? Because he's got Hauser. Like, not to get too fucking nerd about this, but I don't really mind doing so. If Hauser knows what Cohagen knows, right? And our flashback is that Cohagen's like, we don't know what this fucking thing will do. Might be total nuclear meltdown. So what is it within Quaid's mind that makes Quado think that turning this on would be good?
I think he opens his mind and then beams that information in.
Oh wait, Quado. Oh shit, Quado knew.
Yeah.
That Cohagen was lying, and he was spying on that motherfucker.
And he's showing him the map
I interpret that Quado knew the device was safe.
Yeah.
Well, of course. Yeah. Well, of course he knew. But like, what makes Quaid important to that equation, though?
Well, I think he unlocked. I'm going going out on a limb here. I'm gonna say he unlocked Hauser's memory of the walkthrough and the location of the device, but then just instilled him with the confidence to say, turn it on because it's safe. I know that from a separate piece of information that we don't get to have because he got machine gunned.
Yeah. So
it's all there.
Is there something about becoming a mutant and a psychic that connects you to the like? That's the thing. Like the Martians, like the mutants aren't really mutants. They're like humans that are turning into Martian.
But that's interesting.
Yeah, I think that might be the case.
You don't know that the ancient aliens were Martians, though. They might have just landed on Mars to terraform it, but not turn on the.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all very confusing.
Yeah. It was like, how old's this thing? 500,000 years? 500,000 years.
Yeah.
It's just been sitting there.
It's a long time.
And they even asked the question, like, what stopped them from turning it on? And you're just like, it is a conundrum. Like, do you turn it on or you don't?
Yeah. Do you know what I just realized too? That sorry, just before we move, like Quado is like the Yoda of this story and guiding him to. Yeah.
It was like a shitty, horrific Yoda.
Exactly. Like just the worst possible form of Yoda.
It just revealed the worst is the seizure that the regular adult Quado has. Sort of like turning Quado on.
Yeah.
And then he
sort
of
can't be
like
conscious
just
at
like
the same time.
No, and then he just like opens his jacket to reveal like these horrible like man breasts and hairy chest with this fucking oiled up baby attached to him.
It's like if a tumor was sentient and like could take over your mind.
That's exactly it. Yeah, and that's kind of what is shown to us. Like it's all veiny and fucking.
And it's like it's funny that Quado would be the premier mind of the two of them as well.
What? Yeah, and what the fuck's Quado doing? Like I don't understand this. Like Quado lives. And you're like, what does he do? Like because you have to understand that he's been leading violent resistance movements throughout all of Mars at this point. Like he's labeled to be like Yoda. His crimes are washed over, just whitewashed and left to like.
Whoa.
Yeah, man. Yoda has a lot to answer for. A lot.
Well, no. Well,
dropped the ball.
but Kuato is striking against like militant aggressors. That's acceptable.
Oh no, it's totally Well, it's fine. I don't disagree with Kuato. Kuato lives.
Although,
I'm gonna get that down.
That's not exactly what we see though. Because like when I was thinking Mars is absolutely wild, and like when Benny picks up Arnold in the cab, like there are resistance fighters just open fire on like civilians basically.
Yes, exactly.
Like, welcome
yeah,
to Mars.
Welcome to Mars. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly it. So like Kuato's like a really shitty Nelson Mandela. Like without discipline, without any sort of like principled stance. He's just like, this is reckless. As if I'm being honest now, like there's no reason for him to think that reactor is going to like terraform the Earth in 2 minutes. It could not the Earth, sorry, Mars. It could have been real bad. Now I'm not talking about like blow up the atmosphere or global meltdown or whatever, but like it would still take like decades, if not centuries, to change the entire environment, right?
You know,
and it would have had like, yeah.
If he is a quasi-terrorist, like maybe he's just like, fuck it, who cares? Whatever happens, it'll be better than this.
Oh, it's just he's a racial.
Maybe he knew nothing. He might have known nothing.
Yeah, maybe he had no insight whatsoever, and he was like, "Open your mind." I knew that fucking rich bastard was lying. Burn it all down, Quaid. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a lot of reason to respect Kuato.
Why did they trust Kuato? Now you're making me second guess Kuato. I had ultimate faith
this is a new
Kuato.
one for me.
Now I got a new angle on the whole thing. Also, really hated him growing up because he was such a bastard for turning his back and shooting. I didn't like that Benny killed Kuato, but Benny was like a 5-star heel.
Oh, he's
definitely
5 kids to feed. I fucking love it.
He was so fucking evil.
The guy who played it, he didn't want to do it at first because that's all he was ever cast for. And apparently, like, you know, whether it's money or the script or whatever, he's like, oh, okay, there's something here. And he's he's beautiful. I'm going to drill you, sucker.
Yeah.
So fucking
I'm coming
awful.
for you, baby.
He's amazing. That's got to be the worst one-liner in action movie history. The like, screw you.
Oh yeah, that's perfect though.
It's an Arnold.
He drills
classic.
into that thing. Yeah.
Oh wow, guys.
You know what I love? I could look at Benny all day. I love his tie that is dangling loosely, his leopard print shirt. What the fuck? He's wearing like a punk shirt underneath. Like what? It's like multiple decades of fashion. Everyone else is so gray and square. But something about Benny's really colorful. Such a fun guy.
Yeah.
I would not want to hang out with Benny though.
No, he's a betrayer.
Yeah.
Like,
shocking betrayals in this movie. I was shocked, even though I've seen this movie a million times. I'm always shocked by Hauser's betrayal.
Oh, when he's like, "Hey, buddy."
Yeah.
Or he betrays himself.
Yeah. I need
That's
my
true.
body back.
There are too many betrayals. If I did have one critical thing, because then not only that, they go to bring Hauser back to give him his body back, and then they betray him. They're gonna go kill him anyway. That's just bridging on too many betrayals.
I don't think they were gonna kill him. Like,
no, because
isn't that the order he
They're
gave
good
him?
buddies. No.
if
Eventually.
Quaid would have gone gently into that good night, I think he would have just shown up at the party, right?
Definitely.
With Ironside.
party.
Yeah, see you at the party. I think that would have been a party.
No,
He would have had
but
to stomach the
didn't he order him to kill him?
That was
Only after he escapes, then Ironside's like, we gotta fucking kill him. And then only at that point is Cohagen like, fine, fuck, kill him. But
Ironside is biased anyway.
Very biased. What the fuck? Why do you send your hot blonde wife on a personal mission to fuck the guy that you're jealous about to begin with?
I think that's the hardest thing to understand. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why this is a dream.
Are you saying she liked it?
I understand that's whatever Copenhagen's orders.
That's
oh
true.
yeah, I see. All right, Michael. Michael Ironside.
Yeah, I was gonna be
So
like,
cool.
we need someone we trust on this.
Yeah.
You're right, because she's
Yeah.
probably like a super agent. They probably met on the job, and then just sort of like complexities of work.
Yeah,
needed.
and they were like, "Oh, it's a temporary gig, and then we'll get Hauser
Yeah.
back. He won't even remember fucking her."
Oh yeah, it'll be like it didn't happen. It's like Indecent Proposal all over again. Only it's for like $100,000 a year. It's
Yeah.
not actually worth the sacrifice.
More than she got paid.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Or it's Michael Ironside character's like particular like complex fucking fetish, not his first rodeo, where he just likes
True.
He likes the jealousy. He just kind of like
he really loves it. He likes to just fume in the background. Well, he's a real cuck, is what we're saying.
No, I don't know. He's got that weird little like white-haired like boyfriend tech guy that kind of.
Oh, I see. You think?
With him.
I bet they both fucking love that. It's like
that guy watches him. That guy watches.
Yeah.
More,
Yeah. Hey, talk about it. Maybe like come while talking. It's just like yeah. They have a very complex.
Sit in that chair. Watch me. Okay, boss.
Oh boy. Well, this is the kind of thing that most the movies nowadays don't have this.
No, you can't really flesh out all this great stuff in a movie nowadays. Who am I fucking watching anyway? Goddamn Paul Rudd. Give me a break.
Just superior craft all around.
I just took a shot at Paul Rudd. That's right.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck Paul Rudd and fuck Elon Musk.
Is that how we're ending it? That's
Now, all we need is a little energon and a lot of luck.